I'm leaving you for Amanda, Michael announced casually, as if he were commenting on the weather. He stood in my home office doorway, looking oddly pleased with himself. And before you start drama about divorce settlements or splitting assets, let me be clear, there won't be any of that. I'm just moving in with her. I looked up from my laptop, where I'd been reviewing financial reports for the investment firm I manage. At 42, I'd spent 15 years building a life with this man. And here he was, throwing it all away for his 23-year-old secretary. Nothing to say, Elizabeth. He smirked, clearly expecting tears or begging. Usually you have an opinion about everything. I kept my expression neutral as I closed my laptop. How long have you been planning this, Michael? He walked into my office now, confidence radiating from his expensive suit and freshly styled hair. Does it matter? Amanda understands me in ways you never could. She's young, exciting. Everything you're not anymore. I nodded slowly, opening my desk drawer. And you fought this through? The legal implications. There won't be any legal implications, he scoffed. I'm not filing for divorce. I'm just leaving. You can't force me to sign papers or split anything. I've checked. Interesting, I said, pulling out a thick envelope. So you've forgotten about this? His smug expression faltered slightly as I removed the document. What's that? The prenuptial agreement you signed 15 years ago. I replied calmly. The one your father insisted on, remember? To protect the family assets? The color drained from his face. That was years ago. It can't still be valid. Oh, but it is. I slid the document across my desk. Section 3 is particularly relevant. In case of abandonment or infidelity, all joint assets are to be split 70-30 in favor of the wronged party. There's also a fascinating clause about maintaining the standard of living. Michael snatched up the papers, his hands shaking slightly as he flipped through them. You planned this, he accused. You kept this all these years, waiting. I couldn't help but laugh. I planned for you to cheat with your secretary, to announce you're abandoning our marriage. Give yourself some credit, Michael. This level of stupidity is entirely your own achievement. You can't prove anything, he blustered, but his voice lacked conviction. It's my word against yours about Amanda. I opened my laptop again, turning it to face him. Actually, I have the emails between you and Amanda going back 6 months. The hotel receipts. The jewelry purchases. Did you really think I wouldn't notice $12,000 charged to our joint account at Tiffany's? The swagger was gone now, replaced by something between panic and rage. You've been spying on me? No, Michael. I've been protecting myself. There's a difference. I stood up, smoothing my skirt. I knew something was wrong when you started working late every Tuesday and Thursday, the same nights the corporate card showed charges at the Golden Grove Hotel. He slumped into the chair across from my desk, the prenup clutched in his hand. What do you want? I want what I'm legally entitled to, I replied. The prenup makes it quite clear. We can do this quietly, quickly, and you can go live your exciting new life with Amanda. Or we can let my lawyers handle it, which will be considerably messier and more expensive. You're bluffing, he tried one last time. You wouldn't want people knowing about this. Your reputation. My reputation. I raised an eyebrow. I'm not the one having an affair with a secretary young enough to be my daughter. I'm not the one trying to abandon my marriage without proper legal proceedings. Would you like me to show you the social media response when my lawyers release the evidence? Michael's face had taken on a grayish tinge. The prenup slipped from his fingers onto my desk. I need time to think. You have 48 hours, I said, turning back to my laptop. After that, my lawyers will file the paperwork and things will become significantly more complicated. He stood up, his movements stiff. This isn't over. Actually, Michael, it is. It was over the moment you decided to throw away 15 years of marriage for someone who wasn't even born when we met. I looked him in the eye. I suggest you use these 48 hours wisely. Unlike you, I've already done my homework. As he walked out of my office, his shoulders slumped in defeat, I felt an odd sense of calm. I'd spent months preparing for this moment, gathering evidence, consulting with lawyers, securing copies of all our financial records. While Michael had been planning his new life with Amanda, I'd been planning my defense. I picked up my phone and dialed my lawyer's number. Sarah? Yes, he finally told me, just like we expected. No, he didn't take it well when I showed him the prenup. I smiled, remembering his face. You'll have the papers ready by Wednesday, perfect. What Michael didn't know was that the prenup was just the beginning. I had discovered something far more interesting in our financial records, something that would make him wish he'd just agreed to a simple divorce when he had the chance. The next morning, I sat in my lawyer's office, watching Sarah review the documents I brought. Her eyebrows rose higher with each page she turned. "This is quite something," she said finally, looking up at me. "You're sure about these transactions?" I nodded, sliding another folder across her desk. 3 years of systematic fraud. Michael's been embezzling from his family's company, filtering money through fake consulting firms. Most of it's been going to offshore accounts. Sarah whistled softly. "And his father has no idea." "None." I took a sip of my coffee. Robert's been too busy expanding the business to notice his son's creative accounting. But once these records become part of the divorce proceedings, they'll have to be disclosed. Sarah finished, a slow smile spreading across her face. "Elizabeth, you're either brilliant or terrifying. Possibly both." I had discovered the discrepancies purely by accident. One night, while Michael was at his regular late meeting with Amanda, I was reviewing our tax returns and noticed something odd. Small consulting payments, recurring monthly, to companies I'd never heard of. A little digging revealed these companies didn't exist. They were shells created to funnel money away from the family business. My phone buzzed. A text from Michael. "We need to talk. Dinner tonight?" "Already cracking," I murmured, showing Sarah the message. "What are you going to do?" she asked. "Meet him, of course. Let's see what he offers before we show our full hand." That evening, I arrived at La Maison, our usual anniversary spot. Michael was already there, looking considerably less polished than yesterday. His expensive suit couldn't hide the dark circles under his eyes or his nervous fidgeting. "You look terrible," I observed, sitting down across from him. He ignored the comment. "I've been thinking about what you said, about doing this quietly." "Have you?" I kept my tone neutral, signaling the waiter for a glass of wine. "We could work something out," he said, leaning forward. "A fair split. 50-50. You keep the beach house, I'll keep the city apartment. We both walk away with dignity." I couldn't help but laugh. "That's your idea of fair? After what you've done?" "Be reasonable, Elizabeth," he hissed. "You're not exactly in your prime anymore. This could be your last chance at a decent settlement." I took a slow sip of my wine, letting him stew in his desperation. "You know what I find interesting, Michael? How a man who makes $200,000 a year can afford to buy his secretary a $12,000 necklace, or how he manages multiple offshore accounts on that salary." His face went white. "What are you talking about?" "Oh, I think you know exactly what I'm talking about." I pulled out my phone, pulling up a spreadsheet. "Shall we discuss Meridian Consulting, or perhaps Global Solutions Partners? Fascinating companies. They don't seem to have any employees, offices, or actual business, but they've received millions in consulting fees from your family's firm." Michael's hand shook as he reached for his water glass. "You're out of your depth." "No, darling, you are." I showed him the screen. "These transfers weren't exactly subtle. Your father's accountants will figure it out eventually. Unless." "Unless what?" He practically whispered. "Unless we handle this divorce my way. The prenup split, plus a few additional terms. Sign the papers, and these financial records stay private. Fight me, and they become part of the public court record." He slumped in his chair. "You destroy the whole family business just to spite me." "I'm not destroying anything," I replied calmly. "You did that yourself when you decided to steal from your father while cheating with your secretary. I'm simply giving you a choice about how this ends." The waiter approached with menus, but Michael waved him away. "What are your terms?" I pulled an envelope from my bag. "The prenup split, as mentioned. You sign over the city apartment and beach house to me. A very generous monthly alimony payment, which I'm sure you can afford given your additional income sources. And you resign from the company quietly, citing personal reasons." "You want me to give up everything?" His voice cracked. "Not everything. You'll keep your freedom to be with Amanda. Although," I paused, checking my phone again, "you might want to check in with her. Last I heard, she was getting quite cozy with a new intern in accounting. Apparently, you're not the only one who appreciates youth and excitement." Michael grabbed the envelope, his hands shaking as he opened it. "I need time to review this with my lawyer." "You have 24 hours, I said, standing up. "After that, I have a meeting scheduled with your father. I'm sure he'd be very interested in reviewing these financial records. As I walked out of the restaurant, I felt lighter than I had in months. Michael had underestimated me, assumed I was too naive or too afraid to fight back. He never realized that while he was playing around with his young secretary, I was carefully building a case that would bring his whole world crashing down. My phone buzzed again. Another text from Michael. "You'll regret this." I smiled, typing my response. "No, Michael. You already do." Michael waited until the last possible minute to respond to my message. He simply said, "My office, 9 a.m., bringing my lawyer." I showed up 10 minutes early, wearing my best suit. My friend Sarah was with me, holding a briefcase full of documents enough to ruin Michael's career and maybe even start a criminal case. His office looked just like I remembered, fancy and full of family photos that tried to make him seem loving and loyal. The irony was clear. Michael looked tired as he sat behind his desk. His lawyer, James Porter, stood by the window, trying to look confident but not doing a great job. They watched as Sarah and I sat down. "Let's get to the point," James said. "Michael agrees to most of your terms, with a few changes." "Most?" I asked. "He's fine with the property and alimony," James explained. "But asking him to quit the family business is too much. We want that part removed." Sarah opened the briefcase and pulled out a thick folder. "Then maybe we should go over why that part is necessary." "That won't be needed," Michael said quickly, too quickly. I leaned forward. "Actually, it is. James, there's something Michael didn't tell you. Something about shady accounting and hidden money overseas." James turned to Michael. "What is she talking about?" Before Michael could answer, the door opened. His father, Robert, walked in holding a spreadsheet I recognized. "I think she means this," Robert said seriously. Michael jumped up. "Dad, what are you doing here?" "What I should have done a long time ago, paying attention," Robert replied. "Elizabeth sent me this last night. Our accountants checked it out this morning." Michael's face twisted in anger. "You went to my father?" "You." "Careful," Sarah warned. "Everything said here is on record." Robert stood behind me. "The board is meeting today. You don't need to resign, Michael. You're fired." Michael sank back in his chair. "Dad, please, I can explain." "Explain what?" Robert snapped. "That you stole from us? Lied to your wife? Left a paper trail like an amateur?" James coughed. "Given this, maybe we should pause to talk." "There's nothing to talk about," I cut in. "Michael signs the divorce papers today. If he does, I won't press fraud charges." "You can't prove it." Michael tried again. Robert placed a hand on my shoulder. "She doesn't have to. I'll press charges if you don't sign. It's up to you, son." The next hour flew by. Michael signed everything with a shaky hand. He didn't even read the documents. By 10 a.m., it was over. Our 15-year marriage ended with a few signatures. As he and his lawyer left, Robert looked at me. "I'm sorry, Elizabeth. I should have seen this coming." I shook my head. "We both trusted him. That's not your fault." He hesitated, then smiled a little. "You're still family. Actually, we need someone new to lead financial oversight, someone sharp, who notices everything." I laughed. "Are you offering me Michael's old job?" "No," he said. "I'm offering you the job you've always deserved. Michael only had the title. You have the talent." 3 months later, I sat in my new office, Michael's old one, but now fully redecorated. The company was bouncing back after the scandal, mostly because we'd kept the worst parts quiet. Michael had moved into a small apartment. His girlfriend Amanda had dumped him for an intern. That part still made me smile. There was a knock on the door. Sarah peeked in, grinning. "Guess who I just heard from?" "Who?" "Michael's lawyer. He wants to lower the alimony. Says he can't afford the payments." "Let me guess. Entry-level jobs don't pay like executive ones." "He's a junior accountant at a tiny firm," she said. The irony is perfect. Send the usual reply. Request denied. Request denied. When Sarah left, I walked to the window. Life was better than ever. I had the beach house, a city apartment I loved, and a job I earned on my own. My phone buzzed with a text from Robert. "Board meeting at 2. Bring the reports. And Elizabeth? Thanks for saving the company." I smiled, grabbed my files, and headed to the meeting. As I walked past the front desk, where Amanda once worked, I nodded to the new secretary, a smart woman in her 50s. I'd made sure Michael's type wouldn't be hired again. Sometimes the best revenge isn't revenge at all. It's rising above, getting better, and moving on. Michael tried to leave me with nothing. Instead, he lost everything, and I gained more than I ever imagined. The best part? He destroyed himself. I just made sure he didn't take me down with him.